Welcome back to the Corrective Culture podcast. Today we have Kirsty Wirth. Welcome back. And been a long time since we've had a chat. Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Is
that working? Her mic coming through?
Speak for us.
Thanks for having
No.
me.
One sec.
It's not
Harry!
Harry! Get Noah to come in and fix it.
I bet you it might not be. It's not plugged in.
I was about to say old school. Is it plugged in?
It's not plugged in. I don't think the mic. Kirsty's mic. Did you hear me yelling for you? Yeah. Oh no, is it just not turned up? Can you talk now?
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're on.
there you go. I can hear myself now.
We're gonna leave that in. Thanks, Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Beautiful smile. What a lovely smile.
Yeah. Cool. Even better mullet.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah.
Is it a low taper fade? Apparently that's the thing at the moment.
Yeah, well, actually, Harry, I mean, we brought him on after we had that business meeting with yourself and your brother. And because for people who don't know, we did like a business mentorship meeting, probably it would have been a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
About 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
that flew by.
Yeah.
And just broke down our entire business. And this is when it was just Jake and I. And basically, and when the cleanse started to go nuts and all started to get a bit bigger and more than us, we had like 50 more plus DMs that we couldn't get to and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, it's time to hire people and whatnot.
Like growing pains, eh?
Yeah. And then when Harry, we actually got Harry out of, who's working at Greensmith Grocer.
Ah, no way.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
just the most perfect person ever for it.
Amazing.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny how, I think we told you, how it's pretty cool how people can just make the dream happen. Like he was in, where was he? Was he Austria or somewhere over in Europe at his dad's. And basically was sending us podcast clips of our podcast for free, just reels.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, that he'd done.
That he'd done.
Yeah,
He'd just
amazing.
listen to the potty, screen record it, make
Yeah.
clips and send it to us.
Yeah,
And then,
amazing.
which is funny, the universe was like, oh, we need someone to do this for us now, create content. We're like, this guy's already doing it.
Voila.
This is
Yeah.
him. Instead
Yeah.
of going to uni for years and doing video editing and all this sort of stuff, you can just make the dream happen instead.
Yeah,
It's
I
such a
know,
cool
eh?
example, I reckon. Eh?
Yeah.
I love it.
Crazy.
So
Yeah.
in your, because last time, I believe we spoke about just gut health and parasites and all those sort of things. So people that haven't listened to the first one, you can go back and listen to that because Kirsty's sort of like the gut health queen and definitely locally around here on the Sunshine Coast. But what's been new recently? Like, are you constantly like researching and looking into that sort of stuff? Or what's been new in your,
Do you study anymore?
Oh my gosh.
in your field?
That's all I do.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
the
Yeah.
minute you stop being curious, like to me, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's literally that cut and dry for
Yeah,
me.
okay.
So I'm deeply passionate and interested in the interplay between neurotransmitters, our environment, and what we're exposed to,
Right.
and how that affects our gut microbiome.
Okay.
So some very cool stuff that I'm picking apart and trying to understand about, like dopamine, for example, and the onslaught is significant. People have no control over it anymore.
Yeah.
And what
yeah.
that does within our body and within our gut microbiome is quite significant.
Really?
So,
Just like the constant
yeah.
impulses of attention grabbing things?
Yeah, and so then we have a lack of motivation because we've like tapped out that dopamine. So the sensitivity is gone.
Yeah.
So ideally, because of course you guys will come hiking with me
Yeah.
one day. So when you go out hiking, for example, go for a 5-day hike, your sensitivity completely changes. There's not even any lights. There's no exposure to anything to stimulate your body. So your sensitivity comes right down. And when your sensitivity comes down, your motivation goes up.
Right.
And so it's so fascinating to see what's happening in this environment that people only have very small motivation. So this comes back to our conversation just before about supplements. What I find now is people's motivation to look after their health, because their dopamine's so low, is they can only go to supplements because that's only the short 30-second real capacity that they've got. When we're looking at our health, we should be like long game, real long game.
Yeah.
You know, like when I'm 70, I'm going to like kick my grandchild's ass on the tennis court kind of stuff. Like that's the long game you want to be thinking about. Not like, oh, if I have this supplement, I'm going to be fine next week. And so, yeah, like, I mean, human behavior is deep interest to me.
Yeah.
But understanding this onslaught and serotonin, for example, how that impacts our gut so significantly. But
Yeah.
no one's producing
It's like
it.
we're too smart for our own good. Like I was thinking about this a lot lately with my gut stuff, and I was like, everyone thinks they're so smart. They're like, this is going to go directly there and fix that. I'm like, but you fix that and something else plays up. I'm like, there is no like nature heals. And like you said, like the more you can go back to nature and like reset that dopamine, set that circadian rhythm, it is simple. And it's almost too simple. People think it's like, there's no way.
Yeah.
I need this like this supplement that is just going to make me feel good. But
Yeah, 100%.
Never
so,
works.
No, it doesn't. And so then there's capitalism involved, and
yeah,
there's this big sort of understanding of like, you know, this monetizing our health, and there's all these other interplays of conversation when it comes to that kind of stuff that, you know, yeah. And I think this separation of people's power over their body, and you have deep power. You know, you can just go out in the sun every day.
yeah, for
You
sure.
can,
Oh
you know,
man, how
like,
good
you
does
can do
nature
all-
feel?
Yes,
Hey?
100%, 100%.
And that's like, sorry, someone did a thing on like, you know, does everyone need parasite cleansers? And I truly believe not everyone needs a parasite cleanse, but I feel like everyone needs to eat whole foods and go back to nature.
Yeah.
It's like, it's truly as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's not about the
Yeah.
parasite cleanse. It's about getting whole foods back in the body and cutting out seed oil, sugars and stuff. It's like, you're missing the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but just back to I think that's like a lot of time people with the cleanse, it's like it tricks them into that way. Like I don't know if it's a good route or not, but the fear of a worm in them tricks them into like, oh, this is what I feel like when I have some protein in the morning, or when I'm just not eating like bread 3 times a day, or just like the awareness. It's always back to the awareness.
Yeah.
And back to the dopamine thing. Do you know who Mr. Beast is?
Mr. Beast.
Your son probably does. He's the biggest YouTuber in the world.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, and he
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
all these
yeah.
like videos where like 100 people put a hand on the car, last person to leave it gets the car, and it's a
Right.
Lamborghini or something, right?
Okay. Oh, yes, I've seen this.
You would have seen him, right? He's now the biggest media in the world, basically, right?
Yeah.
Because he's got the younger generation. But now he basically, you can almost call it TikTok brain. Like he's been on podcasts and he goes, see how he just started that then? He goes, they've already swiped.
Yeah.
They've already swiped. And he
100%.
goes, he starts his videos grabbing you instantly, you know? And I bring that awareness into some of mine now instead of talking too much at the start. I'm like, oh, I probably would have swiped on that. It's got to be like neck pain or this, or you got to make sure the title's something that is like maybe not a full truth. Like, you know, sometimes like this will fix your shoulder pain.
Yeah.
And it may not, you know, but that's almost what people have to do these days.
And it's funny because it's like, it's always negative.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Pain points.
Do you have shoulders like this?
I know, I know. And then it's a grandma who's 90. That's all, like, you know. And I think that, you know, that definitely speaks to our brains are neurally wired to scan the environment for threat. And we don't need to do that anymore. Like there's very limited threats, especially like for us, you know, where we live right now. I understand there's other environments and countries, and even people living in our environment live in threat in their own home. So it's very important to acknowledge that. But overall, like we're not getting chased down by tigers and, you know, all this kind of stuff. But we are wired for threat. We're wired for scanning. We're wired for something bad will happen. So unless you've worked on that neural wiring, which a lot of people haven't had the opportunity to do, when they're engaging with social media or they're engaging with things, that's where their brain will go first. And once again, that's human behavior, but that's really disappointing because that's now what's being used to engage people. And so when you think about, like from your perspective, for example, when you guys think about training a muscle, you want to keep training that muscle and you want to keep utilizing it and using it. Eventually that muscle just works beautifully for you. We have an opportunity to train our neural pathways and we can train it in that threat response, which is all content that's coming out, or we can train it in that engaging positive response. So, you know, like our commitment to supporting our communities is we have to commit to training the other neural pathway of positivity, but how you engage with that in today's environment is a really tricky space because Otherwise, we're going to have like a whole generation that's just under threat. Everything comes from, like you said, pain, negativity, and that's their first entry level into engagement, even with their friends, even with other people. So it's quite difficult.
Well, it's massive, isn't it? It's like, and I've noticed it in myself that meditation has gotten harder since being so swipey.
Yes.
So like lately I've been doing more meditation but shorter and it's been better.
Brilliant.
But I was speaking to my friend the other day, Scott Rigby, and he was saying that when he went to China and studied with the monks, he said like he went up and he said, how do I get better at meditating? They're like, go to the back of the class, like don't even bother me. and then later a
You're
few
even
days,
asking me that.
and he's like, they just knew. And then a couple of days later they said, now go and meditate for an hour in the morning, hour in the middle of the day, hour in the afternoon, and do that for the next month straight. Yeah. And then I'll answer your question.
Yeah.
And he was like, I answered my own question with understanding like that.
Yeah.
It's about coming home.
Yeah.
And I think when you talk about your hikes and stuff like that, like we're so far from coming home to ourselves these days because of the phone and the TV and the next thing. It's just always it's always the next thing. And Scott looked at me the other night and he goes, man, I just got to say like the feeling when you meditate 3 hours a day is so profound. He goes, you just have to experience one time in your life because it's like, it'd be that feeling of being out in nature and just being so happy and so much inner joy, but being still.
Yeah.
And I've had it, I've had it a few times, but I think like,
you would have had it out in the ocean a bit.
Yeah, definitely. And through meditation too. But I am noticing that like everything's getting faster. Like our businesses are growing. We've got things going on and it's like, if you don't honor that place in yourself where you can center. And I know you'd know that, for sure. It's like, and it's just crazy. The world's getting crazy.
So discipline is huge.
Yeah.
Right?
Discipline is freedom.
And so this is the tricky stuff. So people that are curious, people that want to live an entrepreneurial life, people that question, they often have a lack of discipline.
Yeah.
Because they're curious. And they want to go out and they want to have a look at things and they want to like experience the world and they want to try things. And a lot of that does come back to, neural pathways, or it comes back to not being able to eliminate, different types of neurotransmitters. And so it's this complete push and pull. You're like, you've got this entrepreneurial spirit, you've got this brain, you've got this curious sort of brain and you just want to go out there and just like kill it.
Yeah.
But then the discipline that you need when you get really deep into that is like, hang on a minute, I don't know what this means. I don't know what discipline means. And for me, like I have had to work so hard. It's a real thing for me. Discipline, because I can do it in my sport or I can do it in certain environments, but like basic stuff, like real basic discipline.
Yeah.
Because that's more exciting.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
But discipline is where you are centered, where so walking is my meditation for me because I'm outside and I'm moving my body and everything.
It's the best meditation.
Yeah. It's so good. But that requires discipline because it's much easier to stay back at home and be stimulated by something rather than go off. But this is going to show my age here. But, 30 years ago, I didn't have a phone, right? I would have been 21, no phone, on board, just go for a walk.
Yeah, I know.
For sure. Go for a ride on your bike, go find your friends, that kind of stuff. So I think it's a key word we're missing, and people can translate it into training because they can see an outcome on their bodies. And everyone's very keen on how they look and what their bodies look like. Often not what's going on inside. It's just that exterior of how your body looks. But the discipline for our mind, the discipline for our gut, the discipline for longevity, neural pathways, I think that's, to me, that's like the top 2% of the peeps that are like really wanting to push that envelope is that discipline.
Yeah. It's and it's rare that you'll find that discipline across all aspects of life. You see the hormozis, but then they just eat shit food while they work on the business, or you know, get on steroids while they're at the gym, and all these little like shortcuts that their smart brain is thinking. Like I saw one was, you know, James Smith PT. You know James Smith PT?
Not personally.
Yeah. Well, anyway, like I like as a person, great guy, you know, and he's I guess on the other spectrum of like calories in, calories out, and you know, doesn't matter about Diet Pepsi and all those sort of things. And he's on. I saw it. I can tell when people are on steroids. I can really just tell, like, because I guess just in the athletic
They just
world,
get thicker,
especially in jiu-jitsu, they get redder.
Yeah,
So-
and like a little bit like more. There's more
The
water weight.
face changes, like the structure of the jaw and that changes.
Wow.
But they always look redder after a roll, like their blood pressure's up.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they'll be rolling and then they'll just be like they're sunburnt or something, you know. And I can just see it. There's an extra tone to the muscle.
Yeah.
There's like this sort of stuff that wasn't there before. That I can only get there when I'm like training onto my shit, you know. And they're sort of eating a bit of shitty food and doing that. But I could see it, and then one of these people that are like too smart is like, oh well, you know, there's not a heap of negatives. I'm 35. He goes, I'm gonna be on it by the time I'm 40 anyway. I don't really care about me losing my hair. I'm already losing a bit of it, so I'm just gonna get on it now because it's this. And he's looking like he's rolling good, right? But you always pay for it. You know, you always pay for it. Like I'm not sure you wouldn't have looked into like.
I haven't taken steroids.
But
There would have been some times in my climbing days I would have been like, wow, that would have been.
It pretty well degrades the collagen in their connective tissue, you know, because
100%.
their muscle gets bigger, but the connective tissue, the tendon doesn't. So all of a sudden their muscles are contracting twice as hard than the tendon's adapted to, and then they get muscle tears or usually tendon ruptures,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
ACLs, shoulder, they're always breaking apart, right?
Yeah.
And then they all die of heart attacks when they're 50 and shit, you know?
Yeah.
But this is one of those things that, like, it's all right, the science says this, so I can cheat the nature. And, you know, something will probably come out in 10 years. Well, it's already out. Like, you know, you watch them all dropping like flies by the time they're 50. You know? You never hear a really good story of someone that got on steroids and got out of it and didn't pay for it somehow.
Yeah.
So that's back to the discipline. And I was thinking back to the food, like I was cooking dinner, maybe it was a couple of nights ago, and it was a big day and there was a lot of stuff. And I was thinking, I'm so glad that this is now, when you're talking about the brain circuit, so instilled into me that I'm never going to get KFC or McDonald's, that it's just like it's part of my nature now, that no matter what happens, I'm still going to get into the kitchen and cook myself a healthy meal because I respect that so much, because I understand what it does for me, my body, and the way I feel and the energy and but you can have discipline with your business, but then lack the discipline on that. And I think that's the goal, is like when we talk about the king or the queen archetype, that's that goal, is being disciplined through all these factors
and those
of life.
habitual aspects of your life.
Yeah, because you obviously are gone with a slow cooker. You don't have to think twice now when you cook a healthy meal, right?
I literally, like, you know, I yesterday, classic example, went through it all like as my tick because there's, you know, I've got kids. Mark's, you know, running a ED down in Tassie, so he's away for 4 weeks at a time, and I worked through my day. And I was like, right, so I've got like a full day of consulting. I literally finished straight out on the netball court. I'm playing with Maya now. We play in the same team.
That's so good.
So excited.
That's awesome. You're like the LeBrons, eh?
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. And so like you sort of plan it out and you're like, okay, slow cooker's got to go on at 7 this morning because when I finish, we've got this window to like eat beautifully before we get back out on the court, and then we've got to be able to like repair and recover and you know, wake up the next day. And it's exactly that, like, but I don't even have to think. I can get a slow cooker on and make 4 ferments like, while I'm doing lunch boxes and get ready for work.
Did you study like GAPS?
Yeah.
So that's where
we were GAPS for 2 years
Right.
as a family. Literally, we had pureed soup for 2 years before we went and had our transplants.
Wow.
So did we do GAPS?
Yeah. So you did like the round 1 GAPS, and did you start like really strict with round 1 and 2 and just build your way back in?
Yeah. So that's how the Kultured Wellness program was developed.
Cool.
Because we did the stage 1.
Yeah.
And then I was like, honey should not be in here. That doesn't make sense to me.
No.
And Natasha McBride, far out, that woman is amazing. And remember, it was developed in the 80s.
Yeah.
And a lot has changed for our bodies since the 80s. So after we were doing like stage 1, and I was studying at that time about, obviously microbiology and about bacteria. And I was like, that honey and that fructose, that feeds infections still. And so I started to make tweaks to the gaps, different stages around specifics for quite significant gut infections and getting ready for our transplants.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how the Cultured Wellness program was born.
That's
because
cool.
I used gaps, and then I took like FODMAPs diets,
Yeah.
and then I took this, and then I took that.
You sound,
and,
that's what I've been researching all of that at the moment, and it's really cool. It's really cool.
So I'm just about to start a series of what I wish I had have known, and so I'm going to pick apart like, why was I on FODMAPs for 2 years?
Yeah.
Why did I do this for this? Why did I go down like a salicylate and histamine pathway for like a year? Why did I do this, this, and this, and this? And I'm going to kind of pick apart all of those things, because I was finishing off my PhD when I was going, like, I didn't realize I was developing the Cultured Wellness program at that point, but I was. And when I did my PhD, it was just like all butcher's paper, and this bit here, this bit here.
Yeah.
Of course, there's programs to do that now, but my whole study, there was huge bits of butcher's paper, pulling all the bits apart and then learning about the body. And so there's this bit of a disconnect between nutrition, food, and what we know about what food does. But then there's a disconnect about what our bodies do with that food. And so we can move the needle in our knowledge quite significantly now, in the fact that everyone's going to be different with how they utilize that food and what their body does with that food. So like I do a lot of analysis of people's, DNA sequencing, and we look at a lot of epigenetics, and people will come in and do their smart DNA, which you guys know. And like there is specific pathways of people that just cannot have FODMAPs. And like I have that pathway. And so we can move past like, oh, onions are good or bad, or go on the FODMAP diet because onions are good or bad because they've got fructose in them, or they've got oligosaccharide sugars or whatever, and more about what is my body doing with that. And this is this precision nutrition and this precision of understanding our bodies and wearing wearables to get your data. And, I ate that and my heart rate variability just went like, was great or not so great. And you can start to utilize that information about yourself. Whereas definitely 20 years ago, it was like, this diet works for you.
Yeah.
And we can move so much further beyond that now. And, like for me, I can really pinpoint, like there's absolutely no way I can digest that food, even though it's a healthy food. Yeah. My body can't utilize that. My knees will blow up. I won't be able to play netball that night. Yeah. I still can't eat eggplant.
Yeah, really?
Oh my gosh. Mark made me a moussaka. Like, oh my God, the poor fella spent all day so proud, made the moussaka. I couldn't lift the kettle the next day. I was like, literally couldn't lift a kettle.
See that awareness you have though, right?
Yeah.
That's very rare. A lot of people think, fuck, I must have slept on my wrist or something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I believe that too. Like, I'm really into the body, but I tell people all the time, most of it's going to be what you eat, not going to be the exercising that I give you, for a lot of that.
Well, and even one step further, not what you eat, what your body does with it.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the new, you asked me a great question, like what are you into and where do we need to move our knowledge now? And that's the kicker. Yeah. What is my body doing with that? And that's what I think is really cool.
And it can be confusing for people because people psychoanalyze everything. And they might not feel their body that much yet. Yeah. So it's like they could feel, inflammation in their colon and think and they're just, like Callan said, they're like, oh, this is just normal. It's always been happening, but they don't realize it's whenever they have potato. Yeah. And then they think about shit too much, where it's like the body doesn't lie, but it also doesn't speak in words. So it's not going to give you like that was the potato.
Yeah. Ting, ting, ting,
which is a weird thing. It's a weird feeling. It's like your body will give you a depression, or it'll give you anxiety. It'll give you feeling flat today, or like something. Like I had beers the other night. I haven't had beers since Japan months ago, and I had 4 beers. And the next day my calves were like everything in my body. I was like, how do people do this? Like
tightness. Yeah, it always
tightens.
It always
like
tightens the
my
fascia.
knees hurt. Like and only for a day, but I was like, Oh.
Yeah. And then your mental health just goes
Oh
down.
my God, I can't live like that.
No,
Like,
no. And so your mental health goes down significantly, and that's where you make poor life choices.
yeah,
Really poor life choices.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So
yeah.
you like had the beers, euphoric, joyful. Stuff this whole health and wellness thing. I'm
Yeah.
going to live in this world. And, you know, at the time, it's just so much fun and you're having the beers and it's exciting. Then it's normally day 3. Like I'm just going to break up with my partner. It's bad. Like
Yeah.
it's been bad, or
Yeah.
I hate my job, or I need to move house, or I don't even like where I live. I'm moving states. And
Yeah.
this is where people make really
it's-
significant decisions.
it's like fungal and parasites, hey?
Yeah.
It's like we
Yeah.
become them.
Yeah.
And that's like with
Yeah.
the parasite cleanse.
Yeah.
You don't want to kill them. We're not here to kill
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
parasites. We're here to stop the infection of parasites.
Yeah. And that nuance is really significant because that comes back to that microbial diversity and comes back to that rebuild and
Yes.
understanding the difference between stopping. So parasites obviously do multiple things. They coat themselves in heavy metals, and so then you've got
Yeah.
a lot of heavy metal issues.
Yep.
But they give off a lot of inflammation. And so that inflammation then degrades the gut lining.
And then you get
causes
leaky gut.
Yeah, and then you've got secretory IgA issues, and
Yeah.
then you've got immune response issues. And so the cascade of what they do is so significant. So even when you go through a cleanse and you get rid of them, or you've brought them down into, one little space within your gut microbiome, the rebuild, which comes back to discipline, but that rebuild afterwards, like utilizing, things like PHGG and colostrum and psyllium husk and fibers and all of those key fuel sources for the beneficial microbes to rebuild is so significant. But I think what I see happening when people come to work with me is that they think they can't handle those foods, or they're scared of those foods because they've been in like deep cleanse mode, right? And with anything, when you're rebuilding gut microbes, you have to go at a dosed amount, because if you've only got, let's go real like simplistic, if you've got 4 Akkermansia strains in your gut, this is a beneficial ancestral microbe, supports neurotransmitters. So it's a good guy in your gut. You should have 50. But say your gut was depleted, had some antibiotics, just got ripped apart, and you've brought your parasites and worms right down into the corner. Okay, we're gonna pop them there, and they're quite happy there. That's fine. But you've only got 4 Akkermansia. If you then like dump a truckload of fiber in to feed that Akkermansia, there's only so much of that fiber that those 4 microbes can consume. Then the rest of it's just going to feel gross in your digestive system. It's going to be undigested, unutilized, bloating, gross, whatever. So then a lot of people go, I can't have that fiber. And it's like, no, you can, but actually probably you can only have 1 teaspoon of that
Yeah.
as opposed to a whole cup.
Yeah.
So you have the 1 teaspoon, feed the 4.
Yeah.
A week later, you have 2 teaspoons because now you've got 8. And then a week later, you have like 3 tablespoons because you've got 25. And you modulate with discipline the introduction to build up those microbes.
Yeah.
But we're getting people taking supplements and it says 1 tablespoon of this supplement. Oh, I can't handle that. That makes me feel terrible. I'm bloated and gave me diarrhea. And that kind of misunderstanding
Yeah, it's
of
almost
what
like
it's doing.
Uneducated, hey, and that's the whole world. Like we're overfed and undernourished, so we're like, how can you feel if you don't know? And
Yeah,
they
yeah.
are. These podcasts are important for people and even having my own gut stuff going on, which I'm enjoying because it's like I'm learning so much. But like, it's so easy to feel so lost.
Yeah.
If I didn't know what I know, I'd be like, this is me forever.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah.
But really, it's a pain
Yeah.
teacher, and
Yeah.
it's a gift. It's
100%.
Yeah.
So I'll answer the question afterwards, but you go first. So in this complete deep confusion of what's going on with your gut, what's your key barometer? What's your compass that keeps you moving forward, because I think a lot of people lose their barometer, they lose their compass, and they're like, oh, I don't know what is true now.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
everyone's telling me something. I'm deeply confused. That person says this, that person says that.
Yeah.
And I think everyone needs to have their own barometer of truth
Yeah.
to keep moving them forward.
Yeah.
So you answer, we'll all answer. We've all got to.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
gotta,
firstly, I treat it, I always switch it into a positive. My challenges are opportunities.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest driver for
Yeah.
me. And I'm like, okay, well, there's something going on, which I almost like because there's never really anything going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So switching that up, and then knowing that like physiologically, like I'm designed to eat whole foods.
Yeah.
So like, let's eliminate things that I'm having all the time. Mm-hmm. So for me, that was white potato and rice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Eliminate the and then I cut out sugar entirely.
Yeah.
But like you would think that's a whole food, right? You know what I mean?
Well,
and
it's a grain and then potato.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just knowing what I know.
Yeah, knowing what you know,
Yeah,
right?
that's the thing. Like people probably don't know that below ground vegetables are quite sugary.
my client in here yesterday
Yeah.
or 2 days ago, he has like IBS symptoms, seen so many people before. He's like,
Yeah.
man, I'm having porridge every morning and rice pretty well every day.
Oh,
Yeah.
bless him.
Yeah, and he's like, I just constantly, it's been years. And he's seen me for shoulder issues, but his whole pelvis is twisted and his lower abdominals are completely descended. And I said, man, there's no core work that's going to help you.
Yeah.
Switch that on. Yeah.
We need that.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to sort that out.
Yeah,
you know? And he's got heaps
100%.
of money. He's a rich tech guy.
Yeah.
But he's like, a lot of these people, they don't know about all this. You know, they're like, where do you go? They go to this
Yeah.
naturopath and she says, oh, I should be vegan. This, naturopath says I should be carnivore. It's like,
Yeah, I know it can be. And I tried carnivore and I nearly died.
You would, because your serotonin levels would have just gone completely kaput.
Yeah, well, thank you,
Yeah.
because like I felt fucking crazy.
Yeah,
and,
you would
and
have.
I had this
Yeah.
epiphany. I was riding my bike along this path and I was like, I felt like this one time in my life before. And I remember laying on a bed when I was 23 and I tried the Atkins diet.
Here we go.
And I was like, this is that same feeling of like full depression.
Yeah.
Like full, just like I was actually thinking suicidal.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
like, maybe I'm better off, honestly, just like not being here anymore. Like that's, and I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like what's going on here?
Yeah.
So I went home, had some rice. I just bought Guzman's. I was
Yeah.
that fed up. I was
I
like,
love it.
I was
I
just
love
like,
it.
got Guzman's, ate the thing. And then I was like, yeah, like just straight back, eh?
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
this?
so you
Like,
needed a bit
Yeah.
of carbohydrate.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like you especially, there's a serotonin.
high cortisol too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And so, our gut microbiome makes a lot of serotonin for us. And that is from those microbes that need to be fed diversity. And so it's,
I think though, like Callan, for instance, he's like a truck. He's just like, if I was say to Callan, fast for 5 days, he'd do it. No problem.
yeah,
As soon as I start to fast, I'm like crying.
yeah.
Like on the plane
Yeah.
to Japan, I just cried for 3 hours. Like I just could feel like I was infected. My gut was infected and my anxiety was thing. And that's why like sometimes I don't tell everyone because I'm like a little bit embarrassed about it. Because like I see people like Callan or Jai or any of my friends that are just like, they can just have coffee. They can just have everything. But I just feel like I'm so temperamental, like so highly strung in my nervous system.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I know that's a gift too.
I was about to say, so let's play it out, right?
Yeah.
So Callan would walk into a room and, you'd spot the hot girl and that would be about it. You'd walk into the room and you would have a barometer and a heartbeat on that room within seconds, and you'd be sensing everything, and you would be able to send like a message back to, okay, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. So
overthink it and just,
well, not even, like you just would be able to understand what's happening in that room. So for you, like understanding what overthinking is and understanding what's my power to support these people in this room, because I can see something that's so different.
Yeah.
So I have that. So
Yeah.
I can find in a room very quickly what's going on and what needs to happen.
Fully.
Whereas like another dear friend that we both know, she just walks into a room and just like powers through the room and is like, what? Someone died in the corner? Like just wouldn't even have seen it.
Just on task.
Yeah, on task and just and and we see that in the natural world. Like I think we might have even talked about this before, but there was a research study on monkeys and they were all up in the trees and they took out the monkeys from the outside circle the ones that stayed on the peripheral.
Oh, yeah.
They took them out of the equation. All the monkeys in the middle died.
Oh, wow.
So what do you mean? Like, so they took the monkeys out of the room.
Took the ones around the outside.
Yeah.
So the ones around the outside were the sensors, and they were looking what's going on.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Here comes someone to attack us.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
weather's changing. Something's not quite right here. We need to be on alert. Something's about to go down. And they were the ones that sent the messages and the feedback to the more powerful ones in the middle. We need to be aware something's about to go down. And they took them out of the equation, and the ones in the middle had no feedback. The weather's coming, a predator's coming. We don't have any food anymore. Things are
Right.
about to happen.
Eventually they died off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's such a beautiful synergy.
It's a mix, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Alan Watts talks about it. I probably spoke about it in the podcast before, where he was asked. He probably wasn't. It was probably just a story, but he goes, "I was asked that what sort of human should we start breeding? Like, we can breed them to be this. We can, altruistic or this." Dropping that word in there, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I just want to use that
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
That's my vocabulary out. But anyway, and then just whatever traits, right? And then he goes, well, the best option you have is to make sure you breed variety, because
Yeah.
you never know what's perfect for what situation arises. You need the Donald Trump to come through sometimes. He may say some weird shit about women or this, that, but you need to do that job well, or vice versa. You always got someone that's so good at their thing that's not going to be good at the other things. And there's a time and place for all these people for symbiosis of the human species,
Totally
So
agree.
it's like
Yeah.
nothing's wrong, all right,
What about me with my Gilbert syndrome and my I've fallen apart?
Yeah. So he's got Gilbert syndrome too. But,
Yeah. That's I don't even believe in it, to be honest.
I was about to say
it's like
that's
bullshit.
just another
Yeah.
little beautiful message.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
100%.
another little name.
But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
cool. I love going to like doctors and naturopaths, and everyone's got the answer, and you're like, really, you have the answer deep down.
Of course you do.
Yeah, your body's
course you
telling
do.
you signs all the time. It's like,
Yeah.
no, yes.
I did the craziest content recently. It was, what's the craziest thing a medical professional has ever said to you? Holy shit. Some of the messages blew my mind.
Yeah.
One person
Yeah.
and said they paid $2,000 from a private gastroenterologist, and I think they said food doesn't affect your
Yeah.
stomach or something, because it gets broken down by the time it's there.
Yeah.
And they go $2,000. I ended up making a meme on it with that Spanish guy laughing of like how ridiculous it is. The only thing that's going in your stomach is what you're putting in your mouth.
Yeah.
Besides maybe what you're absorbing through your skin, but you know what I mean? It's 99% of it. And to say that that's not affecting the gut, and that this person has studied for years and years and years on end, and then done private practice for years and years and years on end, is just shows me who we're respecting. Like it's such a insanity.
Well, it's all changing because we've got people like yourself and even younger crew like building up and telling people, it's okay to think outside the box a little bit. And maybe we have put over trust in doctors, and they're great. Like you said before, like we need them. They're great, but for things other than, some are good with the gut, but most are just like,
you just care about
They got
results.
no-
I don't care
Yeah.
about what your name is or your certificate. Dude, I want to see some results.
Yeah.
And then that's the bottom line. You go to a millionaire to learn how to get $1 million. Like it's all these little things. So if someone can tell me, like if someone can fix a shoulder 20 times in a row, I'm going to listen to them. I don't care about what the double placebo controlled study says.
Well, I had a surgeon come and buy a chili mat the other day off me, and he's just a beautiful Indian fella, and he was like really skinny, frail, and he's really soft spoken.
Yeah.
And he had black under his eyes, and he's like, man, I'm just not sleeping well. Like,
Oh, dude.
and I was like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
why aren't you sleeping well? And he's like, oh, the stress. Like, I'm a surgeon.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm just so stressed.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking too. Like, and it makes so much sense. High cortisol, high stress, high adrenaline, like our survival hormones are all up. You cannot digest food.
No.
So it's like, you talk about dopamine in the phone.
Yeah.
It's like that's such a
Yeah.
huge player, and no one's even thinking of that.
No,
It's like
not at all.
it's
Not
like
at
if
all.
you're if I'm playing Call of Duty at night,
Which
and
you
I-
would never do.
which I'd never do, and I'm eating, It's like I'm in war and eating. It's like,
Yeah.
would you stop
Oh
to
my
shit or
gosh.
eat when you're running from a lion?
Yeah.
Or,
No.
you
No.
know, like,
And your brain doesn't know the difference
It doesn't.
between it actually happening
yeah.
viscerally to
Yes.
your body or
Yeah.
whether you are just sitting being a participant. Your brain has no idea.
No.
And I know this to be true because I can still have memories of the tsunami
Yeah.
and my whole body is viscerally still there.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, because it was just the 20th anniversary. And
Yeah.
so there was everything all
Fuck
over. And
yeah.
I didn't look at a lot of it. Like I
No.
went away kind of, you know, I actually literally purposely, I went to Thredbo and went out in the mountains and we just went mountain bike riding for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But your body doesn't know the difference. And so,
Especially with trauma like that. So
Yeah.
PTSD,
Yeah.
and I've experienced it with my leg.
yeah,
Like I would be driving
yeah,
and the thought would, like, just instant thought, and I'd scream.
yeah.
So it's the same when something's so traumatic, your nervous system remembers, and it's the same with exercise, it remembers the worst reps over the good ones.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
the same thing with trauma.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And so I think we can extrapolate that out to literally people playing video games.
Yeah.
Like, so my kids wanted me to watch this show with them the other day. And it was like, like parody kind of thing. And someone was shooting someone. And I'm like, I don't want to watch that. I don't need to see someone being shot because I don't know the difference. My body doesn't know the difference between someone being shot and not.
Yeah.
And so we've got a lot of people growing up playing these games. And so then they become adults and they don't know the difference. And so then we are seeing like a lot of shootings because people don't realize that people actually die
Yeah.
when they get shot because they're watching it on a computer game. But they don't, there's no sort of understanding of, that's a real person in that game, or there's this real kind of disconnect. And that's that cognitive thing again. I mean, 200 years ago, we would not have this amount of exposure in our brains to so much stuff that we need to think about. So I try, and I fail dismally at this, but for every hour that you are engaged in something, you should have an hour of stillness.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah. That's a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
so technically, when we go back from this podcast, say this podcast goes for an hour, technically, then we need an hour of space for our brain to decompress. And when we go into sleep tonight, in our REM sleep, for our brain to file away and to organize within that REM sleep, file away this conversation, kind of, unpack it, have a bit of a think about it, and then wake up tomorrow like, oh yeah, that's that. So for every 1 hour, and you think about that, the old timers would have done it. They go sit out on the porch, watch the world go by, and they kind of think through it, or they would chat and decompress about situations that would have happened because that's how they decompress.
Yeah.
So the amount of cognitive space that our brains need to kind of reset is quite significant.
Yeah. And that's a good goal,
Yeah.
for someone
Yeah.
for people listening, because that can be quite daunting, I think, hearing that.
Yeah.
I think just add 10 minutes in at start.
Yeah,
even
yeah.
just mindfulness training, just
Yeah.
watch your thoughts for 10 minutes, be in nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a really simple, easy one is like when you go for a walk along the beach, when you go for a walk,
Yeah.
no phones, no ear plug, just like nothing. Just go for a walk.
Yeah.
It's quite scary if you're not used to your own thoughts to do that.
That's
But
true.
that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
So it's just not utilizing, and that kind of comes back to people wanting to engage in so much information, listen to this podcast, listen to that podcast.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like our joints.
Yeah.
Our brains will wear out.
100%.
It literally will wear out. We cannot consume this much knowledge without the rest. Like we think about for our muscles, your muscles get the DOMs if you work hard on them.
Yeah.
Our brain gets the DOMs. Your brain got 3
Definitely.
days of DOMs from the beers.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the same thing, but we're not.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we're paying enough and to that brain, and our brains are our most expensive organ in the body. So what I mean by that is calorically, like our brains utilize so much. They're so expensive to have on our heads. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
to the point that it's a bit annoying,
Yeah.
you know, because you're like, oh man, like I need to switch on today. I've got to fuel for that brain. And so they're very, very expensive to have. And so there's this higher, like for me, it's such a higher order of like, you know, okay, my brain's expensive and I need to use that today. So I've got to pay some cash to, you know, get that brain working.
Yeah.
So that's obviously high nutrition,
Yeah.
ketones, cognitive awareness. And then, you know, I'm not using my body much today because I'm using my brain so much. So I can kind of then go to secondary. What does my body need?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can start to work out which one's
Do you still
which.
jump on the roller a little bit?
All the time.
That's good.
All the time.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's lymphatic right there.
Yeah. My biggest thing at the moment is I sit in a squat for 30 minutes a day
Whoa.
at the moment.
Nice.
Well, like deep squat, like
Yeah. I tore through my whole plantar fascia last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was not fun. Not
Yeah.
fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Playing
yeah.
netball?
Yeah. So I did it on the court. Didn't really realise, went back and played the grand final the next
Yeah.
week. I was like, why can I not run?
Yeah.
This is interesting. And it just kept hurting. And it was only because I was going on a big hike. I was like, well, this isn't safe. Going out
Yeah.
for 5 days, this feels off.
Yeah.
And everything was over, like compensating and stuff. And then I went
Yeah.
and got an MRI.
Yeah.
And it's enormous
Big tear.
tear all through the
Do you
bottom
get
of it.
lots of barefoot time when you do walk the beach and whatnot?
I only wear barefoot.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
actually own like any other
Yeah.
shoes
Yeah, okay.
apart from barefoots.
Yeah, I wonder,
Yeah.
maybe it was just like a quick progressive overload and amount of...
Oh no, I can tell you exactly what happened. My estrogen levels dropped
Okay.
significantly. So my body's deep in perimenopause. I'm
Yeah.
50 next year.
Yeah.
And so I got the MRI and I'd had the tear. I went straight in and had some bloods like within a couple of days.
Yeah.
And my estrogen levels had halved.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, this is interesting. And here's something else that's interesting. I suddenly wanted red wine all the time. So what's going on here? And that helps to bump up a little bit of like very fake estrogen. Like there's all this other stuff going on, but I was like, there's some weird messages going on in my
Yeah.
body right now.
Wow.
And so when your estrogen levels drop, very prone to like plantar fasciitis, knee injuries, shoulders. And there's a lot of injuries that happen for women. And so I was like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And so I was pushing myself pretty hard on the court and
Yeah.
playing. Like last night I played all 16-year-olds.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so fast.
Yeah,
So for me, like that deep squat obviously does all that activation and gets everything
Yeah.
back on track again.
And
So-
that's
Cool.
actually really like, because it takes the connective tissue will only adapt for up to 10 minutes.
yeah.
So
yeah.
anything longer than that, it stops adapting. So it's like when people talk about it, it's like doing a 10-minute run, have an 8-hour gap, then another 10-minute run is completely different than doing a 20-minute run. Even though you're getting the same volume in, it's
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you're going to get double the signal, and obviously you're onto the gelatin and all those sort of things.
Yeah.
So those
Yeah.
deep squats, I was listening to Keith Barr talk about like connective tissue almost. What's a routine you can put into your
Yep.
to your life?
Yeah.
And it's basically isometric, taking whatever the muscle is to a lengthened position and holding it isometrically for up to 30 seconds will put collagen into that tendon or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So when you're in a deep squat, your Achilles is in a lengthened position, you're getting a bit of a plantar fascia stretch, you're getting patellar tendon, you know, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so here's
yeah.
a part of a system to like maintain your ligaments and that.
Yeah.
So I've been
Yeah.
doing it for my triceps recently, just doing like deep down, just holding it.
Yeah.
And it fixed it. I had this tricep tendon issue for about, I don't know, it was probably like 4 years or something, hey. And it was never something I could ever feel, but if I did something intense, like if someone was to fall on my forearm in jiu-jitsu, I'd feel it. And that's how it happened in the first place. And this is when I didn't know as much. So tendons don't heal unless you load them.
Yeah.
And
100%.
basically, I just started loading it, and then one day I just forgot about it and realized, I haven't felt that in a while.
Yeah.
So it happened pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But you could feel it. You'd load it, and then you could feel like the the fatigue in the tendon
Yeah.
that hadn't
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
that in a while.
Yeah.
So that's for people listening, any tendon issue, you just want to take it to a lengthened position and then contract it in
Yeah.
isometric way, which seems to work pretty well.
Yeah, I've been doing some crazy like knee over stuff and
Cool.
like weighted, like, you know, when you stand up on the bench and then you lean right over and do a whole heap of weighted stuff and then moving like over, because as you guys know, I don't really have much of a knee left, and like pushing it into really uncomfortable environments, getting it comfortable and then doing it weighted, and then just keeping on pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah, good.
'Cause I want to keep carrying a pack.
Yeah,
And
for
doing
sure.
all that stuff. So I like, it's hilarious at home, and I'm doing like some weird movements, but I love it. It's just all that functional kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, David Goggins got no knees and he's still running bloody.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
so it's doable.
Yeah.
It's,
so just get all the sprint training and.
There was even research on lumbar spines and degenerative lumbar spines, but these people had a full degenerated lumbar spine and lots of pain. But that's right. I was looking at ancestral spines. So they did scans of like tribes people in like Namibia or something like that. They had the same degeneration, probably a little less, but no pain.
Yeah.
Compared to the Western person has the degeneration and the pain.
Yeah.
So that's again back to those lifestyle factors
Yeah.
of like, are you regenerating overnight or are you not? You know, what sort of food you're eating.
Yeah.
And I remember they didn't have really a word for back pain unless there was an acute reason for it.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean back pain? Like, did you fall out of a tree?
Yeah.
And like, unless there's a reason, there shouldn't be back pain.
Yeah.
And that's so true.
It's so spot on.
It's so interesting. I've got a beautiful story that so Maya just recently, so she's my 14-year-old daughter, almost 15. She got slammed in between two players on the netball court and then came down and went. So this is the foot, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Classic netball injury. And she, actually just bum shuffled off the court. I've never seen her actually stay down. I was like, well, this isn't good. And then she had states coming up in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And it was like, oh dear.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play out this whole story because it's so important for what we've been talking about this whole time.
Yeah.
So she got dragged off the court and then the first aid crew came. And I love the fact that they've got first aid people out there, and they did an assessment and then they said, here's the Nurofen and Panadol. And I said, no, thank you. We're going to just let her body do the job. No, you need pain relief. She's going to need it. And this first aider asked 4 times. And so 4 times I said, no.
Yeah.
And then eventually I said, look, her liver cannot process, that medication, and we've got stuff in the car. So that was the first great decision. It's because then her body swelled it up, did all of the right stuff. Then we got home. We went straight into contrast. So ice, red light, ice, red light. Then I was like, you're going to bed. And then you just sleep. All I want you to do is sleep. She went into deep ketosis. And so ketones, no sugar, sleep, ketones, no sugar, sleep, sunbaking. Now she's, a teenage girl. That's the easiest thing for us. It's like, sunbaking, heaps of sunlight. And it reduced down so much, and she was off crutches within 4 days. I was like, okay, this is looking pretty good. Maybe we can get to States. And then for having approval to go and getting physio approval and stuff, we went and had an MRI, and she'd had completely ruptured through both of her TNFL and a CFL. So not even a tear. They're just gone.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Complete rupture. But she was walking around. All the swelling had gone and everything was going so beautifully. And then she went out with some girlfriends and the food wasn't on point. And that afternoon, Mum, my ankle's killing me. Why is it hurting so much? It's swollen up.
Yeah.
And she was on like the herbs. She was on all this anti-inflammatory. Like we had it all going, I was like, have this.
Yeah.
And it just kept getting better and better and better. Now with that injury, when you have a rupture, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
It won't grow back. So same with, it is a kind of rite of passage as a netballer. I've got both the problems on my ankles. But that's where she's only ever worn barefoot shoes and she's only ever had barefoot. So that's where that proprioception of the muscles in her feet started to engage to keep her stable. And so then suddenly she was like, well, not suddenly, it was like 2-3 weeks later, we were like, do you want to see if you can have a bit of a run around, a bit of a move? And all of those muscles were starting to engage
Do
and
their
sending the messages back to the brain. But the brain wasn't scared.
Yeah.
The body was feeling good. There was all that sleep, nutrition, sunlight, mitochondrial energy. You know, the brain, and there was a lot of nutrition going for her brain, so her brain could perceive we're going to repair and we're going to recover from this. So truckloads of ketones going in. I was just,
That's so sick.
it was so it was kind of like this accumulation of all of like what I've learned over 20 something years to this injury.
Yeah.
Of what, like when I did it, way back when my first netball injury, I was
That'd
like,
be so good to pass that
oh
down.
my gosh, imagine if I had this. And I was like, Maya, I'm like everything I wish happened to me. Here we go. And she went to States. Out she went.
Nice.
And she's playing on it. We're only 7 weeks in and she's running cross-country race today.
Did you get your hands into it at all, like massage?
Yeah.
There you
And
go.
all the
That's
fascia
flow,
stuff.
right?
And,
Yeah,
and then
sick.
we use like red light, like a heat machine. So our physio's got this awesome heat machine and acupuncture and fascia stuff.
Yeah, just
worked
flow.
on the gallbladder. Like it was all happening, but it's just such a great example of the body can heal.
Yeah.
And when this is what was so interesting, when she got the MRI back and she saw the ruptures, she was, oh, it hurts. Oh, I can't do anything. I was like, sweetie, if you didn't even know what that was, you'd know no different. I was just ignore that. I'm going to take it to the physio. You don't even need to think about that. Just kind of pretend that that's not even happening. Now we need to know it's there because we need to understand that it's significant. It is a fairly significant injury.
Yeah, but a lot of the times you don't.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's like I once I healed my spondy, I was like, I wish I never even knew.
Yeah.
Like, because it just, even this 5% thinking of it can affect you.
Yeah.
But something interesting you just said about like ketones. I got a question for you about ketones.
Yeah.
Because
Only one. Can we talk about it all day?
Yeah. I love when I'm going into ketosis, which I haven't measured it or anything, but like my body feels amazing. Like I feel like zero inflammation.
Yeah.
I feel cognitively better.
Yeah.
But then it gets to a point where I'm just like craving carbohydrates, like, and like how I said before, like depression, anxiety, all that stuff, that center of the brain really starts to like intensify.
Yeah.
And for someone like myself, because I'm sure there'd be more out there like it, how do you balance that? How do you, because I like that I look better also on that as well. Like I feel more ripped. I feel healthier. I feel like I can run. My core feels better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But then
I know.
I'm playing this like fine line. It's like, because if I have some like congee or white rice, like, or just things that give me that, like, that, then I feel like less sad.
Yeah.
Or less anxiety, or just feel calmer.
My brain gets real slow, but I feel fine. But my brain gets real like I'm just talking. I'm like, what was I saying again? Like
in ketosis.
By the third day of a bone broth fast, it's like that for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, but like my body's feel fine. I can still do my day.
That's
still
interesting
happy.
because your brain should be it should be at its highest point.
Yeah,
So
I'm like slow. Like what am I doing?
You need to do some detox tools.
Turn into a
right.
little parasite over here.
Yeah. You're letting something go.
That's the parasites talking, dude.
But that's such a great question. So number one, test, don't guess. And obviously I talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
So you have no idea if you're in ketosis or not, number one.
Okay, cool.
So gather that data.
Yeah.
Comes back to discipline.
Yes.
So get the data.
Yeah.
Really, really important because you don't know if you've gone too deep into ketosis.
Oh, you can go too deep?
Yes.
I bet you that's what's happening.
Yeah, 100%. So we, like obviously we put people in ketosis all day long in our clinic and going too deep is the biggest concern for us and we're constantly
That
having
must
to watch
be
it.
Yeah.
So you could be going too deep. And then also it comes back to what am I doing with my body? So I can go up to like 4 millimoles in ketones when I'm using my brain, right? So that's literally like on a Tuesday, I sit in my ass all day, consult like a crazy woman, and I do that and stack it like that because then I know I go out and play netball game on Tuesday night. But I'm utilizing ketones all day because the only thing I'm using is my brain.
Yeah.
But when I get out on the court, I need some glycogen stores
Yeah.
for my body to perform.
Totally. Yeah.
And so I will eat some appropriate carbohydrates. And
What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so It does depend on the game. I will literally look at who we're playing.
Wow,
how hard
that's
do I
cool.
have to go?
Yeah.
And then that will either look like a bit of cooked and cooled rice, sweet potato.
Yeah.
And if I really have to go hard, like I actually might even have like some blueberries or some like quick fix sugar.
Does pumpkin help?
Pumpkin is
that's pretty
quite
low.
inflammatory for me.
Oh, it is,
So
yeah.
I don't ever use it
Really?
if I'm
Okay.
playing sport. Because
Yeah.
it's got some, inflammatory compounds in
Yeah.
it.
Honey?
It's got a lot of fructose in it, so it doesn't work for me.
Oh.
That's inflammatory. And fructose slows your brain down.
Mm.
And I want to shoot my goals. I want to get them in.
Yeah.
So then you're looking at, okay, what am I using my body for? So if you were doing a podcast, you could go super deep into ketosis. But then if you wanted to go out and train, you would need
Yeah.
some glycogen stores. But you can still be in ketosis and have those glycogen stores.
Yeah.
And that's working out about testing.
What works for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even when I'm in ketosis, I have to have like PHGG. I have to have fiber that feeds our microbes
good
that
gut
make
microbe. Yeah,
serotonin.
yeah.
What's GG
So
part of that?
PHGG, it's a partially hydrogenized guar gum.
Yeah.
And it's a really specific prebiotic
I
for
have some thorn one in my pantry, I think.
maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
fiber blend, but I'm pretty sure it's part. That's
It might
what
have the
is.
PHGG.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is, yeah.
yeah. So that gut seal premix that I created, that is specifically for those microbes because that's what then makes serotonin.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's going on for you is you've gone into ketosis, but you're not feeding the microbes that make the serotonin, and you've also probably pushed too hard training
Oh, fuck yeah.
and not restored your glycogen stores.
Yeah.
But also your ketosis is an appetite suppressant, which is awesome,
Yeah.
but you can undereat and you can
Yeah.
have a real
Yeah.
caloric deficit.
I think that's definitely what was happening too.
Yeah. And
So,
your
like, yeah.
your brain, once again, super expensive organ. So even though you're got like your appetite has gone lower, you still need
Yeah,
a
I'm
significant amount of
definitely
fuel.
in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I just I can't eat more. Like I feel sick eating more.
Yeah, so
it's
you're
like,
too deep in ketosis.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the thought, and it fucked me for a week. Like when I fasted I tried to match Callan and fast, was fucked for a week. Like
Yeah. But you
mentally,
was this
like
pre or post having the staph infection?
this was pre-staph infection.
Yeah.
Sort of like every
Yeah.
time you fast, isn't
Every
it?
time I fast, like
Yeah.
if I was to fast today by tonight, like I'm
Yeah.
so sick in my head. It's not even
Yeah.
like my body's okay. I still
Yeah,
feel
yeah, yeah.
hungry,
Yeah.
but I can push through that, you know?
Yeah.
But it's more just like the thoughts and the anxiety, and it's like
Yeah.
it's a dark place. Like
And so that's a
Yeah.
lot around like intestinal permeability. Like if our gut isn't on point and really working for us, you'll have leaky gut. And when you
Yeah.
have a leaky gut, you have a leaky brain.
yes, for sure.
So if you're not absorbing those toxins,
Yeah.
so fasting for me, like I have to do truckloads of enemas and a heap of detox tools.
Yeah.
Otherwise my brain and my thoughts get
Yeah.
really dark.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you start fasting, you've got to utilize like chlorella. Chlorella would be good for you because it's very nurturing
Yeah.
to the body.
That's just like in the
Yeah.
green bottle chlorella. Is that just that?
Like we sell a fermented one
Okay.
because it's been like it's really
Yeah.
bioavailable.
Yeah.
So because you want to be able to take those toxins. So the only reason that's happening is you've got toxins going into your brain.
Okay.
So you want to be able to bind to that and get them out. Because remember, when you fast, you're upregulating all those pathways to punch out all of those inflammatory toxins. If your elimination pathways can't get rid of them, they go into your brain.
What about
So-
like high bilirubin? I know.
Yeah. So that's your liver function.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's
and
the,
that's
the
your
dumping of red blood cells,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
because I know I looked it up and I chat GPT'd it, which is probably what most doctors do. But they say that you can't fast when you've got high bilirubin or your liver is under stress or can't dump the red blood cells.
yeah, yeah.
So is that something that you know about? Like,
So it comes back to there's like that big sort of inflammatory response of where does all of that byproduct go?
yeah,
Because if you can't eliminate it, it's just sitting in there and it's
Yeah.
causing an inflammatory response.
yeah,
So for you, you're probably very similar to me. Like I would never fast without detox tools.
Yeah.
That would just be silly for me.
I know.
I'd like leave my husband and like, yell at my kids all day long.
Yeah.
And
But I want to fast. That's the thing I
but
really want to.
just do your detox tools.
Yeah.
Like I've fasted for like long periods of
How
time.
long have you done? Like,
Probably 10 days is my
oh,
longest
wow.
fast.
See, I'd love to be
Yeah.
able to fast.
Yeah.
I really want to fast.
But have you
like,
fasted with the discipline of the detox tools? Like,
No, I've
Yeah.
never. That's like, I've always just been like,
excellent.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Yeah. So when I first started fasting, when my body was super toxic and I still had a really leaky brain, so it went into my brain, I did like 2-3 enemas a day, heaps of charcoal, heaps of chlorella. And then by about day 3 or day 4, you don't need it as much.
Yep.
You've kind of scrubbed down the cells.
Yeah, cool.
And then it's a bit better.
Yeah.
Maybe we can film me giving you an enema, dude.
Yeah,
There you
that'd be
go.
nice. Plug me up, son.
Or unplug you.
Unplug me.
Touching on, I know it's a big subject, but it's such a common thing, and it's such so many broad opinions on healing the leaky gut. And let's just assume then they've stopped bringing in all the shitty things, that the alcohol, all that sort of stuff. Let's say they're already doing that from a bringing in perspective to seal the gut lining. Because I see a lot of the functional guys talk about, what's that product they're all using? Is it gut? Is it do you know the one they're all using?
Gut RX?
No,
or-
you know the one they're all using to seal ultimate GI repair.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
that? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Immuno-GI?
I
I
think
think it's called
There's all-
Immuno-GI.
yeah,
Right.
All sorts of stuff.
But there's obviously so many things. Like
Yeah.
people talk about, gelatin, and then there's colostrum, and then there's this and this and this. What's your go-to if someone's got leaky gut?
Short cooked bone broth?
No. My go-to is like umbrella, right out.
Mm-hmm.
Like really zoom out, have a look. So you're never going to heal your leaky gut if you're not sleeping enough.
Yeah.
So step 1, like honestly, are you sleeping enough? And most people aren't. Step 2, are you getting enough sunlight? So unless you're getting appropriate amount of sunlight on your belly,
On your belly, yeah.
you are never going to heal leaky gut.
True.
So it's like
On the belly, I didn't know that.
It gets rid of sugar cravings too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Complete non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Then I'd be looking at, okay, so when you digest your food, it starts in the brain and then in the oral microbiome. So then you'd be asking questions. Have I had any dental work? Did I have any crowns? Did I have any, anything, root canals, the whole works. And so then I would be addressing that and having a look at that. And I'd actually be starting with the mouth. So once you've worked out that you're having enough sunlight, you've worked out you're having enough sleep, you've assessed your environment for positive relationships, and that you're not being triggered all the time from a stress response of someone that you live with or those kinds of things, then start with the mouth. And only after all of those things would I even get to the gut and start thinking about the gut. And then I would be looking at everything pureed. So slow cooked and pureed, so in broths and those sorts of things, because once again, people are dumping supplements into their digestive system and their body is like, what the heck is this? And then it just starts feeding infections because infections and beneficial microbes, they both use those supplements. So you can end up in a situation where you've just fed an infection again. And so then you go through and use all those beautiful slow cooked, get into the food, heaps and heaps of probiotics, like obviously fermenting, like the Kultured Wellness stuff. Then when that's restored enough, then you can start to look at some supplements specifically targeted. But yeah, I mean, the amount of people, I had a guy that knows you guys and he just came to see me and he'd had a root canal. And I was like, dude, that's like
The worst.
dead tissue, right?
Yeah.
They cauterize it. They get rid of the nerve and then it's just dead tissue. So there's no blood flow.
Yeah.
When there's no blood flow, infection is like, excellent. I can grow and live here. And so the amount of infections that would cause all that inflammatory response, and then you swallow that, and then the gut's inflamed. So it's once again, it's that taking the moment and that lack of dopamine stimulus to like sit and really consider your body and how does my body work and how like my digestive system and how do all these things work.
Yeah.
And then you can heal your leaky gut and your leaky brain and all those things quite simply. But I think we're just focusing on the SARPs and forgetting about all the basic stuff. Yeah.
You're getting couldn't say it about myself. I reckon that's such a thing.
Yeah.
I did touch on that the dental thing because for my gut I did go to the dentist and get 10 fillings replaced.
Interesting.
Before I went to Texas, and
Yeah,
that was the time that this gut. I also got staph at that time, and I had antibiotics.
Did you have mercury? Did you?
I had 2 mercury fillings. Yeah.
Oh, so what would have happened there most likely is when you take them out,
Yeah, you can get heavy metal.
all of that, but also the infections will come out into the bloodstream.
Yeah.
So almost 100%.
Yeah.
You would have had infections sitting in there.
Well, I feel like I still
So,
do.
yeah.
But like my
Yeah.
teeth are good now, you know. I'm so proud of myself for going because I was so afraid of it.
Yes.
But
Well done.
yeah, I think that's
So we've
that's
got
gotta
those
be
oral
something.
probiotics on on the Cultured Wellness shop.
Cool.
So
What is
do
that?
a round of those.
What is that?
Okay.
Is that something you eat or just rub
It's
in
a
your mouth?
lozenge.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
bring that shit.
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Morning
that
and
sounds
night.
easy.
Yeah.
Imagine that healed my gut. I'd be so stoked.
It would make a massive difference. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love the founder of that company, like full boffin, right? So this guy had all this staph and strep issues and constantly had like tonsil issues, mouth issues, and this was 30, 40 years ago. And then he studied microbiology because he was like, what the heck is this infection? And then from his whole career of being in labs and learning about these infections, he created these oral probiotics. And
Man, that sounds amazing.
It's like the guy that created Mutaflor. He was literally, I love this story. It's like 1917, like mid-war.
What is Mutaflor?
Mutaflor is a very specific beneficial E. coli probiotic that we use in clinic for food poisoning, staph infections. Maybe we might put you on some of that. And some very specific like strep, small intestinal, H. pylori, Klebsiella, those kinds of infections. Anyway, this crazy scientist, and in my mind, like I play out the movie, like he's literally in the war zone and there's bombs going off and it's crazy and he's the scientist just walking around. Why is this so? Like, you know, and like
for
and then
sure.
and all the bullets are going past him
They've
and
all
he
got
kind
gut
of
issues.
yeah. And he was like, how come that guy didn't get dysentery literally in the trenches? And everyone else in the trenches did. Like, what's with this guy? And why is he so different? And then he measured looked in his poo and he had this specific beneficial E. coli strain and these other guys didn't. They all died of dysentery.
Right.
He didn't. They literally took his stool and they cultured that. And that's still the mother culture that is used today in
Whoa.
that Mutaflor.
Wow.
That we have it once again in the Cultured Wellness shop. And it's just so powerful of a very curious mind that's gone, what's going on here between...
That is cool.
You know, because literally this whole, what do they call them, infantry or...
Battalion?
Yeah, whatever they're
Yeah.
called. Like all died and this one dude didn't.
Wow.
And they all
Shit, eh?
died of dysentery. And then this
That's
scientist...
spectacular.
Yeah, and this scientist is like, I'll have your poo, thanks.
Yeah.
And like, what's going on? So they found this specific
Fuck, that's
strain.
cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I gotta try some of that.
yeah.
But how exciting!
It is. It's really cool. But once again, he stopped and he
Yeah.
thought about it,
Yeah.
you know, and he was like, why is this going on?
Imagine he
What's
just got his
happening?
phone out and was like, "What's on Instagram?"
Put that in
We'd
chat.
have no.
Yeah. We would have no E. coli, 100%. We wouldn't. We wouldn't.
How good's are you using ChatGPT like with your do you use it with learning at all?
See, I fight with it all day long.
Really?
I love it. I love it because I suppose it's my gift, whatever, is I join dots. So I love to learn and then I join dots of like why things are so, but how does that look within the body or for a person or whatever. So then I'll plug something in and then ChatGPT will tell me something. I'm like, that is 100% not true.
Yeah.
And then I'll kind
Yeah.
of like have further chats with it and then it will work out the connection that I've made.
Wow.
And because I'll tell it the connection I've made
Yeah.
and, then
Yeah.
and then it will pull through that for me. So yeah,
It's amazing.
It's been
like
having some fun.
for people learning about the
Yeah.
body. Holy
Holy
shit,
shit,
it's
yeah.
so
but
good
it's
with anatomy.
I'd use consensus, or I would
Yeah.
use something that is peer reviewed,
yeah,
because it is pulling from everywhere.
yeah.
And a lot of
Yeah.
it is not true.
Yeah.
And so even when
Yeah.
I fact check it with my knowledge, which is minimal compared to like the whole universe, I know that the facts aren't true.
Yeah, I pull
And
it up on
so-
like really deep anatomy stuff. Like, will this muscle have a pull on there? And it says, yeah, it would do this. I was like, how would it do that when it connects over to here? And they're like, you're right, it wouldn't do that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
But
you just
for
gotta
little
have
things, like the other day I was curious, I was like, what degree of shoulder flexion is the lower fibrous serratus most active at? And I was thinking it's got to be the same with the lower traps. And I was thinking around like 120, 130. And I could feel that in my body. That's why I asked that. And then it can pull up, EMG studies of that's pretty down the line. That's going to be true of, yes, lower fibrous serratus are most equal about above 90 degrees, around 120 and 30.
Yeah.
So I pretty well made up an exercise regarding that.
Yeah, sick.
And I was like, oh, this exercise is going to do the lower traps because it told me this too, right?
Yeah.
But again, I could feel that. When I thought about it, it made sense, but I needed something else to confirm because I can't find that in the book. Like, there's so much you can't just like. I'm sure it's in a book somewhere, but where?
Yeah.
So it's just like it's amazing for where you can use it.
Yeah.
And it's only getting better.
Fuck.
It's only getting
yeah,
better.
I've been using it heaps.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's
I love
so
it. But yeah, you still, like Kirsty said, you got to have your wits about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to go, hang on, is that true? And fact check. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have got some wrong answers if I didn't know a bit of anatomy already.
yeah, for sure.
Definitely would have told me some wrong things.
Yeah.
And this imagery is really bad for that. Like it'll tell you the upper trap is in your chest.
Yeah.
And it shows you, it makes an image, but it puts the upper trap on your chest or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it hasn't
Yeah.
got that yet. But
Yeah.
I can't wait till I can say, all right, can you put someone at 120 degrees shoulder flexion and show them the lower fibrous serratus and blah, blah, blah. And it'll be able to do that in the
Oh
next
yeah,
5
very,
years.
very, very soon.
For content, it's really opens up creativity of like, how can I use this to tell a story?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
soon you can write in. My mate, he's starting an AI business very soon. Dupe AI for people wondering, right?
Yeah.
Basically, he's just learning and how can businesses integrate this wherever they can. And soon you'll be able to soon movies will be writing. Someone can write a movie and it will happen on a video somewhere.
I can't wait to
And you
write
can
some shit.
create some really cool stuff. But you can tell a story from writing and then tie it back to whatever your brand
Yeah,
is.
it's gonna be a different world.
Like that's what I did the other day with the red light thing. I made a guy stand in front of a red light bed next to a sunset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just showing like, are you getting this? Like, obviously get the sunset when you can. Don't bother having a red light thing when you got a sunrise and a sunset there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saying integrate the stuff, right?
Yeah.
Integrate it
Yeah.
all like a tool.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's so fun, man. It's so fun. Like I love just being able to do that.
I love it.
So
Yeah.
currently so for people listening, obviously where they can find more about your especially your new product. And for people listening, I'm onto the apple kefir at the moment.
Yeah.
And I was doing the coconut kefir for a while and the coconut yogurt. I'll start another coconut yogurt soon.
Yeah.
I love the if I could have anything out of it, I reckon the coconut kefir is my go-to. Is that your go-to?
I have the yogurt
Okay.
because it's got all of the strains that.
Oh, it's got more, has it?
Well, no. It's just got different.
Okay.
It's got more bifido strains, which is immune system,
Right.
Like hormone health, brain health kind of stuff.
Okay.
Whereas the kefir's got all those lactobacillus strains, which would be awesome for you for lactic acid removal.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
so really good for training.
Oh, I love
so
that.
like last night after netball, I had the kefir.
Yeah.
And not the yogurt because I knew that that's what I needed at that time.
Okay.
So
I just love the taste.
Yeah.
And that you can just like pour a cup and just drink it. It tastes
Yeah.
nice to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the fact that you can ferment all fruit with it.
Yeah.
I think that's really gold.
Yeah.
Like, and for people listening, it's the coolest shit. You get wild blueberries, fill it with this stuff, and you make basically your own kombuchas. And you don't know what it's going to taste like. You can try all these different things. And I made a pear, basically fermented pear, right? But I ate the pears and the rest is just pear kombucha. And you look at it and you drink it, you're like, man, this is so alive, right?
Yeah.
But like
I know,
some
it
things
fucking
aren't as
tastes
good to
alive.
drink. Like the banana juice wasn't as good to drink as the pear juice. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but the blueberry juice takes longer to ferment, obviously, because there's not as much sugar in there. But by the end of it, it's you can't see through the liquid. It's the darkest liquid, and I'm like, this has to be so good for me.
I just feel it feels like popping candy, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like
I know.
in your mouth, and it's like,
I know.
dude, it's like it feels like a whole universe in your mouth.
Yeah, it hits the spot like
Yeah.
that. Like when you're talking about the alcohol thing, it's sort of like that. It hits that fermented, like that's what because I gave the apple juice and they're like, it's sort of like a little bit like
cider.
winey or something. And I was like, yeah, it's nice. Like
Fully.
it gives me that hit.
Yeah.
You know? And I love that I'm getting that in my gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't want any sort of future gut issues from the world we live in.
No.
Because I've also noticed recently, I think coffee on the empty stomach, which is cliche, but I'm pretty sure I get a little something. It's very subtle. Most people wouldn't notice it, but I can feel it.
Yeah,
You know, so
interesting.
I need to, I think, have breakfast and then have my coffee.
Yeah.
Or even maybe rotate my coffees. I don't know how it is. And that's when I got the ghee, the gelatin, all the stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it's still, I think I need to eat and then have it afterwards.
Well, bulletproofs fuck me. Like honestly, they just like
they hit hard.
I don't know what the fuck's going on with it. I've tried one shot.
Yeah.
Like I think mixing that maybe it's too much fat for me. I don't know. Like
I think they speed up all the pathways that your body needs. And
Okay.
so if you had one and then about a half an hour later you had some charcoal or some chlorella, you'd be completely fine.
oh yes.
Yeah.
And I'm so keen to try this shit. Like,
Yeah. Because they squirt bile, right? And
what
bulletproof coffees
Yeah.
support that bile squirt.
Well, that would make a lot of sense.
And that's where you store all your toxins,
Yeah.
obviously. And
Yeah.
so if you're squirting bile, excellent. It's what you want.
Yeah.
But if it's full of toxins because of liver pathway issues,
Yeah.
then if you're not in there to mop that up, then you just feel horrible. I remember the first month on bulletproofs, I thought I was going to die. And I just was like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
And then I
feel electrically zapped would be the way to explain it.
Yeah. And so then it just, for me, I went through and understood, okay, well, that's a bile squirt. That's what's doing that. That's what's doing that. And now I'm depleted. Now I need electrolytes. Oh, I need to bind. And then, then you just
I'm
kind of work through
keen
that.
to try some of this stuff, eh?
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure if I told you, but not this trip went to Japan, but last trip I went to Japan, I got those liver flukes. How crazy is that? After all the cleanses I've done, never had a parasite, felt fine, and then traveled and then had liver
Pretty
flukes.
common,
Yeah, but how crazy it's common to you and common to us knowing that, but God, it's still not, like liver flukes.
It's not fun.
So many of them come out on people, way more than anything else we see, because obviously we get sent photos all the time. And liver flukes seem to be the main thing that a lot of people have. And then that I got, and I think I got it this last sort of sketchy sushi place in, because I've heard it's on like fish skin and whatnot, right? And it was raw fish. I didn't really have any raw fish last time I was in Japan. But God, it rattled me. Like I came out. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I saw this like slug and I was like, I was trying to justify it, thinking, oh, maybe that was this. Like, I was trying to eat this, and then I pulled it out. I was like, nah,
Coated
fucking,
corn.
what is this?
Yeah.
I didn't swallow something that big, and it was bigger than I thought too. It was like, size of like half my index finger. The one I had, maybe, maybe a little bit smaller than that.
Yeah.
But a third of my index finger. And then I was like, it had thickness to it, and then the next 3 days was just heaps of them, but they all looked like the rolled up leaves after that.
Yeah.
And that's just if they're dead for a while, isn't it? The rolled up leaves, like, wonder why
and
they
then
coil up.
sometimes you've got to make sure that it's not like gallstones as well. 'Cause that like real punchy, thick kind of ones.
Yeah.
They're
can
usually
be
like
caught
yellow,
up
aren't
in-
they? The gallstones?
No, they can be rusty coloured
Oh,
too.
they can be?
Yeah.
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 But yeah,
Send
nah.
them off to the lab.
Yeah. No, this one was definitely like, because the one that came out was fresh dead. I took the herbs purge capsules, and literally 2 hours later they came out.
Yeah.
So I feel like they didn't like surviving because they come out straight away.
Yeah, good.
And it wasn't
Yeah.
a problem. After 3 days, I did another round. Nothing ever came out again.
Yeah.
But I feel fine. But I felt sort of I guess my lung. I could have been from another sickness, but it ran me down.
Yeah.
So I had like a lung sort of thing going on.
Yeah, interesting.
And then just like it was so hectic. And then now I like understand how people would feel. Because we get them sent all the time, like, whoa, this is like you see something alive in your body. You know what blows my mind? The people that know they have parasites and don't do anything about it. I saw that thing and I was like, give me fucking whatever. I'll drink oregano oil. You know what I mean?
fully, yeah.
I don't care about the rest. Like I would, but like I was
Pains
having
it, yeah.
olive. I wasn't having any sugar. I was like, I went and got a colonic and I watched. Oh, actually, this is a really good question. Because when I had that, the little seed things, it was like little rice kernels that come with them. You know what I mean? Like
the eggs.
is that eggs?
Yeah.
I thought they were eggs because there was heaps of them.
Yeah.
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 Because they were pretty big. They weren't as,
Were they white?
they were white.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
eggs?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I don't know. You'd have to put them under a microscope, but
Yeah.
generally.
Yeah,
they're
so I was
eggs.
thinking that.
Yeah.
Because one of
Yeah.
them, there was like a gel sack.
Ah, yeah.
And I got a video of this, and I got
Yeah.
the gel sack, and this is when I first saw the first egg, and I pulled the gel sack. I was like, what is this thing? Pulled it out, and the egg was inside of it. And then the next 3 days, liver flukes and those eggs come out.
And
like,
that gel sac normally is biofilm.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
And do
Yeah.
they create the biofilm?
Yeah.
So they secrete a biofilm around their egg sac and hide
They
it from
use
you.
something called quorum sensing.
Okay.
And so they kind of like shoot out these little polysaccharide sugars. It's a bit like something out of Spider-Man, and they shoot it out, and then it all builds a structure.
Yep.
And that's why everyone's so iron deficient, because that polysaccharide structure requires a lot of iron to build that film.
Oh my
So yeah, the
God.
biofilm's pretty. Yeah,
Dude,
it's
I just had the craziest okay, because have you seen it before? I've seen it somewhere where it like almost like
I'm sorry to cut you. I gotta really I gotta take a couple of calls. I'll just settle
Oh, yeah.
settlement from my house
I
is
gotta-
right now. So
Oh,
Yeah.
this is so good. I got to leave at 11:15. So we can finish up.
this
Finish
last
up.
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right.
All right. Oh yeah. So
Go, go.
anyway, the basically how it's like in the wall and I saw when a big amount of biofilm came out of someone.
Yeah.
Is that the same as like the mucoid plaque? Is that the similar thing?
No, they're different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it had
yeah.
like a blood attachment on the end of it. And she said a lot of blood came out when that came out, but you could see the end of it had been like, there was red at the end, like it had been into the wall of the colon or something. Yeah. And she had iron issues.
Yeah, that's probably more her intestinal lining.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that the
Yeah.
mucous intestinal lining?
It might be the epithelial cells.
Right.
Yeah.
And why does that come out during a cleanse, like with all the charcoal and that?
If she had candida drillers, they drill into the gut lining.
Yeah.
And so it might have like pulled that through.
Okay.
But they attach to the cell wall, like the lining of the digestive system.
Yeah.
So it would have, yeah.
Because I can have that
Or-
charcoal all the time. Nothing like that ever comes out of me.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But then you get these
Yeah.
people where it's like a big sludge comes out of them.
know.
Yeah.
And for like a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Well, thanks for. Oh yeah, actually, can you just want to plug your your website,
Yeah,
Instagram,
all
your
the
new
stuff.
the gut seal product, is
Yeah.
everything you can put out there. So I'm sure people want to tap into your stuff
Yeah. Yeah. So just culturedwellness.com and
with a K.
yeah,
for people
with
listening.
a K.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Culturedwellness.com, their Instagram, a lot of stuff on the Instagram there, and then. That's where you can get the kefirs too. For people wondering, there's some at the local shops around here.
Yeah.
You can also get it from the website. Coconut kefir is my go-to because if you want to ferment and make like little kombuchas.
Yeah.
And then
Or
coconut
kefers.
yogurt.
Yeah.
Oh, kefir.
Kombucha is yeast.
Oh, okay.
And so you only ever want about 30 mils of that a day.
Right, okay.
Whereas the kiffers they're all of the beneficial like bacteria strains. So
Okay.
they're quite different things.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I back it. It tastes good. And and if because the cleanse is coming up in July for the group cleanse, people listening. So I think we did chuck it in the PDF, but like just jump onto that if you want to really take it to that next level.
Yeah.
Because that's the rebuilding and supporting while you're detoxing, which makes sense, you know?
100%. And
Yeah.
then post cleanse, getting on like that gut seal stuff because like my product, because it's got that PHGG that we talked about,
Yeah.
and the psyllium husk and the slippery elm and
Perfect.
green banana flower, and it's all food based, and it's got the ground pepitas,
Okay.
which stuns any of the worms that are left over and then flushes them through.
Oh.
So it's
There we go.
it's quite a technical product, but it's
Yeah.
all food based.
And you just add like coconut oil to it, don't you? And
I
bit
mean,
of
you
ghee.
can just literally spoon it into yogurt. You can put it in a smoothie, or you can make slices
Yeah.
and biscuits and muffins and
I'll make a slice out of it, I
brownies
think.
and
I'll make a slice
Yeah.
out of it tomorrow.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
Much love.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.